Oh, yeah, right. I almost forgot. Okay. Hello and welcome, or maybe even welcome back to the Plot Twist podcast. Hi, my name is Katharina, which is a German Catherine, and I'm coming to you from the north of Germany, which is where I live with my husband and our 3 children. 2 of which just had their birthdays because they're only 3 days apart in birthdays. And so that was an entire marathon. I wanted to post around New Year's, so to vlog, to post a podcast episode. But that didn't work out for that exact reason. It's always the same. I'm sorry for the interruption. I'm still in my introduction here. And already my husband is stomping through the house. The second that I sit down to podcast, which is only not even once in a blue moon, he comes out of his office, which he never does. But of course, it's Murphy's Law that the second you dedicate that, you count on something, the system doesn't work anymore. So anyway, where was I? I think I was just saying how I couldn't podcast because of life and birthdays. And then before that, there was Christmas. And before that, I was ill. And before that, there was a whole lot of Christmas preparations and birthday preparations, because you have to start prepping all of those things in October if your kids' birthdays are just right after Christmas. So it was all a little bit crazy, and that's why I have been gone for so long. Over those last few days, I thought the podcast really does not fit into my life very well, because I always struggle to find time and make time to podcast. But I am just dead set on making more time to podcast. So I hope, by the grace of God, that I will be able to podcast more this year and will be able to make more time. And then there was the teeny tiny thing of indoor snow shoveling that took up a lot of my energy, both in terms of physical energy, because let me tell you, I haven't had such sore muscles in a long time. In a long time. And I have 3 little kids, but this was, oh my God. And it also took up time out of our days that we would otherwise have had off for fun things like podcasting or doing fun stuff in the snow, because we've had a huge snowstorm, and it hit us in such a way and for a very long time. So there was snow coming kind of, I don't know if you want to know, but I'm just telling you anyway. It was coming, horizontally and kind of even from below for over 24 hours. And it hit so the facade of our house. And so it was just teeny tiny powdery snow, which then crept under the roof shingles. And since this is a very old house that we've just bought a short while ago, we haven't had time to do all the renovations on it yet. And there is no, what's the word? Sheeting? Is sheeting the word? So there is no thing inside of the roof to, prevent all the snow from actually coming into your house. That's what it did. And so on the attic, which is very, very big, we had to shovel snow for 2 days. And that was a big job. And it was not just shoveling on the ground. We had to do all sorts of climbing, and it was a big mess. But so I have been busy doing other stuff that I really didn't ever see myself doing, but here we are. But okay, maybe it's a good thing that happened, because now we know what our plan for this year has to be. Just getting the house in order, getting the roof in order. So the roof is fine, but it has to have this sheeting or whatever it's called on the inside. So that's a big fat job, and we have to do it. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if you wanted to know that, but now you do. I had to get it off my chest, I guess. And oh yeah, let me just checking my notes. Okay, so today I will talk to you about, oh yeah, I didn't say this is a knitting podcast. I am here to talk about my knitting, and if you're in for that, grab your knitting and a fun drink, or so like black tea in my case, or whatever, maybe a cold drink if it's hot where you're at, and then let's chat some knitting, shall we? If you want to know more about the yarns that I use, the meterage, the patterns, the whatever, please check the information box below this video, and I will have linked hopefully all of the Ravelry pages and maybe internet pages or whatever there for you. If there is something that you want to know that's not there, feel free to comment or send me, I don't know, an email, an Instagram message or whatever. So like all the contact information is going to be right there below this video for you. Okay, before I start with what I have knit this year, no, hold on, what I've knit last year. Otherwise it would be a very short episode. But what all I've knit last year and what my plans for this year are, I will talk to you about my last, oh my God, what's the word? Finished object. I'm all over the place. It's been a lot, so I don't even remember like the most basic knitting vocabulary, but there you go. More reality on the internet, right? So that's, now you have it. So I will talk to you about my most recent finished object that I bound off, I don't know, maybe on the 2nd of January. So I count it for last year because it was the last little tiny bit that I had to do. At my first, is it my first? I think my first cast on and sort of halfway through project of this year. And then I'll talk about what I just said. So I had in my stash a super fun yarn, which I think is called Marla, and it's by Manos del Uruguay. And I had bought 2 skeins of the colorway denim, which, and the entire yarn has a real hand spun look to it. I knit a Sophie scarf, which I'm going to talk about, and I'm holding it up close so you can see what I mean with that hand spun look. I held it double with another yarn that's just a dark blue, so there you go. So I hope you could see some of that. You see how that is, well, obviously marled because I marled it with the blue one, with the dark blue one. That was solid, but you can still see those specks. This is marled together. I have this one strand of Marla, Manos del Uruguay color denim, and I'm sorry, another of Madame Benoit, who's a German hand dyer, sort of like an eco hand dyer. I don't know if she also like plant dyes. That could be. I don't know if it's plant dyed. Could be. And this colorway is called 10,000 Meilen, so 10,000 miles. It's her fingering deluxe base. I'm pretty sure of that. And I had 1 skein of that, and that's a fingering weight. And then I had 2 of the Marla, which is not a fingering weight. It's just a little bit plumper. I don't know, which is maybe 250 or 300 meters per 100 grams. So it was clear it was not going to be a match. But I figured I can color block another color in because I figured I will run out at about here and have a substantial part left, you know? So, because like this is my widest part, I haven't even shown it to you in its entirety. So this is the widest part right here, right? And it's a really plump, it's really plump stitches, but it makes it very warm and very cozy, and also gives it a little bit of volume around your neck, which I like because I'm tall. I don't like for it to be too flimsy. So I can wrap this around 3 times and tie a knot, and that gives me enough volume so that it's an actual scarf and not just an accessory. So that's what I wanted. And I'm super glad I finally found a project for this yarn that was, well, stash, and that I wanted to just find a good home for, like to do something fun with. And I finally did. So this is the widest part. I think I increased up until I had 53 stitches. Yeah, that should be it. I could have now, with hindsight, I could have gone to like 55, maybe. But so 2 more increases, but I didn't, and maybe it's good I didn't run out of my Marla, because I wanted for, to have enough of my Marla of the denim colorway so that I wouldn't run out of all of my yarns. And that, like I said, I thought I'd run out of the fingering weight yarn at about here, which I didn't then. I ran out of my yarn here, just before the tip. So had I done maybe 52 stitches, so 1 increase less, it might have lasted. I think it would have lasted for sure, because that would have been enough meterage to cover this little tip. Like who could have known? It's not soaked yet. That's why the ends are still poking out, but because I only snip them off after. But so I thought it's a little silly to just, for this little tip, go color blocking, because it would have to be a harsh color block. Like I would have had to have included a salmon color or like a hot pink or something like that to really have a break to make it look intentional, but that would have looked weird. Had I gone for something just like a dark purple or whatever, another sort of blue, it would have looked like I tried to sneak in a color because I ran out, and I didn't want for that to happen either. So I thought maybe I have to rip back and just do something about it, because in the end I thought maybe it's going to last. Maybe it's just going to be enough, until it was clear that it wasn't going to be enough. And I just went stash diving and thought maybe I have something that is really close enough so that it's a match. And I think I made it. I found something that's close enough. Maybe you can see that in the end there is a sparkle in there, like there's a silver stellina in there. That's a mouthful. Sparkle never really comes across on camera, I feel like, but maybe you can tell. So I had almost the exact same colorway by another, or color, not colorway, by another German hand dyer, Frieda Fuchs, and the colorway would have been Wacholderbeere in their sparkly base. What do they call it? Glitzy base? Shikimiki? I don't know. Like one of those that they have. And I think the blue is almost the exact same. So I think you can't really see a difference there. And that's what I did. And oops, there was Playmobil on the floor. I'm sorry. And so that's, what did I do that for? And so, yeah, that's what I did. That's my Sophie scarf that I bound off just as the year set off. And then I cast on another, and now I can show you better, because there's popcorn in my bag. How does that happen? Does that happen to you too? It's crazy what you find in your knitting bag, isn't it? Oh yeah, because I have a perfect excuse, because I took it to the movies. So there's a knitting movie night at our movie theater once a month, and that's where I took it, and that's why there's popcorn in there. So it's not weird at all. We watched La La Land. I saw it for the first time ever, cried laughing about what's his name? The guy, what's his name? Ken. Ryan Gosling, who is just the funniest person I have seen on a screen ever, I think. But I'm not happy with the ending at all. But don't even get me started. I'm not going to talk about the movie, which I have very strong opinions about, but I'm going to talk about the yarn, which is, again, the Marla by Manos del Uruguay, and the colorway, I don't know. I'll have to find out for you. I can in a minute. I'm just going to show you up close. See, it's really pretty. it's got this berry toned main color sort of, and then the other strand just goes through like minty green, light blue, pink, and then a little bit of like orange and brown. Sounds super random, but I think it is really pretty. The colorway is called Twilight. So I have two of these, two skeins of these. And then I have a leftover from a longer time ago that my friend Debbie dyed, who is the dyer behind The Loving Path. She lives in Canada, and I bought from her her Nova Fingering Blood Moon colorway. And like with the other yarn, I had a skein and a half, that's fingering weight again, left over from a different project, from a sweater project. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do with that? Because it's a huge leftover, like it's a skein and a half, but it's like about 600 meters. But it's not enough for another garment or what have you. And then I thought of this combination, which I think is just really good because it's almost the same berry tone that's underneath here. It's this dark, plummy violet or whatever. So I thought I'm going to pair these together. And there's going to be a little bit of the Blood Moon of the Loving Path fingering weight yarn left over. I know that, but that can go into like what's it called? A scrappy project, like into a blanket, or I'm also planning other scrappy projects, so that's not going to be a problem. But I'm happy I found a home for these. So now I'm in the middle of the row. What is happening here? Let me knit to the end of it because otherwise there is really no way you can see something at all. So I cast on, I can already tell you that, the same project like with the other Sophie scarf. I don't know why. I mean, the Sophie scarf is such, like also Marlene from Marlene Knits just said in one of her recent videos, it's such a simple pattern. You wouldn't, if you know how to knit, if you know how to knit, that's stupid. But if you have a little experience, you don't need the pattern, right? I mean, you see how it's done, but it's effective, it's fun, it's mindless, and it's versatile. You can make it small or big or large or fluffy or expensive. I mean, you can make it whatever you want it to be. And this one is going to be a gift for a friend of mine. And the other one I'm going to keep for sure because this is just perfect. I love the color so much. So this particular Marla colorway. And this one, which now you're going to be able to see better right here. This one is going to go to a friend of mine. That's going to be a birthday gift or, I don't know, maybe just a gift in between. I don't know. So there you are. I am almost at the halfway point. So I think I have 1 or 2 more increases to go, and I'll be a little more brave and try and use up almost all of the yarn. Not so of my main colors of the hand-dyed looking color. And then I'm going to start the decreases, and I think from then on it's going to go pretty fast. But that is sort of my on-the-go project at the moment because I've lost my sock mojo a little bit, which is a good thing because I tend to knit too many socks and then I don't know what to do with them. So yeah, this I think is going to go relatively quickly. And these are my FO and work in progress for now. I think I've already talked for quite a long time, so I better jump into what I actually wanted to talk to you about today. But let me finish my tea first, which might be almost cold. Okay, so first I'm going to talk to you about, so I wanted to talk about my plans and my stats and what I've knit in 2025. So my plans for the year ahead and kind of look back on the year that's just passed. I want to preface this by saying, what I've said before, but so by saying that I take the term plans very loosely because I don't have a make 9 or make 25 or whatever. Also, I have no sort of set of goals in my mind that is particular in any way. I don't believe in that. You do you. If you're a person who needs goals and timelines and whatnot, then that's going to be good. But like, it's going to be the right thing. For me, it isn't. I don't know. I can't, with my creative output, that is just not an approach for me personally. So I just brainstormed where I want to put my attention when I'm at a place where I think, like where I ask myself, where do I want to go next? Because sometimes you have finished a sweater and you just don't know what to start next because nothing feels quite right. And in these moments, I need to remind myself, oh, I wanted to put extra focus on this or that. So this is what I mean by plans, okay? And also stats and stuff for last year. I'm not going to show you every piece. I'm just going to tell you what I made real quick, but really quick, and talk about my 2 favorite makes. And that's going to be that. Because I really enjoy watching all those videos, everything I knit in 2025. It's just that we all have such different lives and paces, and it's easy to feel intimidated by how much someone produced. It's also easy to feel as a podcaster like you should have produced more. And I don't want to go there. It's just not, I have so much going on, and most people do, that I don't want for my knitting to be an area where there is pressure, and or comparison, and it's fun to see other people, what they knit. It's just a source of inspiration, right? In that sense, there is always comparison, but I don't want to make people feel like, oh, she knit so much, how did she do it all? Or also, I don't want to feel like, oh man, I should have, I see all those other podcasters presenting like there are 15 garments that they made this year. Why didn't I get there? I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to quickly talk about what I made. So I need my little notebook for that. I made, and I was surprised by the number, but again, screw numbers. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't say anything about anything at all in your life, okay? Just how many things you produced. But I put out 25 finished objects last year, 12 of which were socks. Funny, because the year before, I think it was 13 pairs of socks. Now it's 12. And I thought, maybe I don't have to knit so many socks because I don't need that many socks. And I wanted to shift away from that, but I ended up here again. And I think it's because they bring me an awful lot of comfort. They just gave me what I needed in terms of support, relaxation, those things. So I thought it was interesting looking at these numbers, also like from last year, to just be able in the future and lean in more when I want to knit socks, because not that I hold myself back, but sometimes I think I should maybe use my time for other knitting projects that linger in the meantime. But I realize more and more that it's just really about the comfort and the knitting as a process. So maybe I'm just more of a process knitter than I like to believe. Interesting. So then I produced 7 garments, which again, interesting. I didn't think it was even going to be 3, but two of which were for my daughter, and she only turned 5, so they weren't that big. But one was extremely precious. That was the one with the Intarsia sweater with the unicorn on it. So cute. 3 of which were vests, this included, and one of which was a summer top, and then there was one sweater. I knit one blanket, but that is to say I finished one blanket, so I think I knit about, I don't know, half of it, could be. One shawl. Is that right? Ooh, my half and half. Oh, yes. I knit my half and half triangles wrap. Oh, yeah, right. I almost forgot. 2 scarves, so 2 Sophie scarves, the one that I've just shown you and another one that is bigger, and 1 accessory for my daughter and 1 stuffy for one of my sons. That was it. And Ravelry tells me that I knit up 7,800 meters, so 7.8 kilometers of yarn. So that's fun. That's a lot, but it's about, I've calculated that over the last years on and off, and it's always been sort of in that neighborhood. So I think that's just about like my pace. I don't know. There are people on the internet who have knit up way more meterage, but again, it doesn't matter. Like, don't even think about it. It doesn't matter. And my favorite makes of the year. I'm just going to talk about my favorite makes. I'm not going to show you everything again. Also, with the rate at which I podcast, so I don't know, once a quarter sometimes, it seems weird to show you everything again because then every episode is just going to be the same one. So this is one of my favorite makes. I finished this in January or February, so almost a year ago. And this is the pattern is the Tuku Warmer Slipover. It's from Line Magazine Nordic Knits. And I knit it in a German yarn, Rauwerk. I don't know their base now. Also, I don't know the colorways, except for this one may have been lavender. And I mean, this color, this blue purple color, I think it's just so stunning. I love the colors so much. The pattern was easy to follow. I mean, you can tell it's not a hard pattern, but it was just clearly written. It wasn't hard to follow. The yarn was just so amazing to knit with, and it's so amazing to wear, and it hardly pills. I mean, everything you can see, it does a little bit, but it's also been worn so much. It's my most worn knit this year for sure. It's really warm, really light. They have stunning colors. They have a huge range. It's sourced and spun and dyed in Bavaria, so in the south of Germany. And it's just, oh my God, I love this yarn. So when it comes to German yarns, it may be my favorite. It's just absolutely stunning. So to work with, to wear, oh my God. So, oops, what's happening? And that was my Tuku Warmer Slipover. I think it's size 3 that I knit, but I don't know if I was on gauge. I don't remember any of that. So if you want to know about the fit and stuff, you would have to check my Ravelry page. It will all be there. So that's all I can remember right now. My second favorite knit of the year, and it may be my second most worn item, I assume, but then again, it was a shorter time that I could wear this, is this one. So maybe that's a better way to show it. That's this, hold on, is it Sea Glass or Sea Grass? The Sea Glass, I think, is the 1x1 colorwork scrappy project, and which is also just so lovely. And this should be the Sea Grass by Samantha Guerin. Beautiful pattern, flawlessly written, if you ask me. The fit is just as described. I did a swatch. I was a good girl. It worked out, because swatching and it working out is just not the same thing. Often with my swatches, I'm just right on gauge, and then as I knit, gauge changes and it turns out bigger, usually bigger rather than smaller, so that's good. But With this one, it turned out just exactly like I thought it was gonna. I love the little lace pattern. It's super easy and yet effective. The fit is really good. You can really move around in it in summer. It's, I don't know, it's just such a fun pattern. It's such a fun garment. I've worn this a lot. And the yarn is sort of extra special to me because my friend Claire, hi Claire, if you're watching, she gave this to me not last year now, but in our advent calendar in 2024, and I knit it up pretty soon after. So I started knitting it in the spring of 25 and finished it at the beginning of summer, somewhere in that neighborhood. So yeah, that was so much fun. The yarn is just so special to me because what she picked is so perfect. It's exactly what I would have picked. And it has to be washed, which is also why it's so crumpled. But that was such a beautiful knit. As also in terms of the experience of knitting it, and then it's so fun to wear. I've worn this a lot over the summer and fall more so. So yeah, what else can I say? I don't really remember the yarn now. No, I don't. You would have to look it up on my page, but I think it's there if you want to know. Okay, so those are my two favorite makes of the year for sure. So that's a good thing now that I think about it. I always want to make more garments, but my favorite makes are garments. So yay, so that's good. It worked out in my favor. I have been mending last year, and I remember my stats from the year before. The year before I mended 149 pieces. I was just shy of 150. And by mending, I just mean mending little holes in t-shirts or bigger holes in jeans or whatever for my kids and in our family, or sewing on the little hanger that has come off on a towel or stuff like that. All of these projects, I will list them and count them for myself as a motivation, because I often feel overwhelmed by the amount of mending that a household with 3 kids produces, the amount of socks that they wear through, not all of which I mend, but most of which I mend, is just astonishing. It's just astonishing. It's just incredible. And then the thing is, the longer a piece gets worn, the more likely it's going to break or break again. So you will have to mend and mend again the same pieces, and that's okay. But I sometimes sort of lost hope in that undertaking. I know I don't have to save the world by mending every little thing. It's okay to throw a sock away eventually. I know that, and I do that. But I think it just makes sense to wear clothes for as long as you possibly can. And with kids, they grow out of everything so fast. If you can make the thing live another half a year, chances are you're good, and you can still let it go. It saves you a lot of money, and it also saves just so many resources. And I think it matters because the clothing industry is just such a climate, how can I put this and remain a lady? Evil. I wanted to use a different word, but it's such a problem, right? And I think it's so easy to go against that. It doesn't need rocket science. Not all that we have to do, but like if we all mended our clothes better, and after our kids are grown out of them, gave them to friends so that their kids can wear them, things would look a little bit better. So I try to mend whatever I can. I have a mending pile upstairs that is waiting for me. So, but I have managed to mend 116 pieces last calendar year. So that was good. Looking back, I think, wow, it's been that much. That is a source of motivation for me. It's not to brag like, look what I made. And all of you should be doing it, because that's what makes you, that's just the right way to do it. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. It's just I grew tired of the mending, and I thought I need a new way to motivate myself. And if I count the objects and then look back on the year and think like, oh, it's that many pieces that got kept in rotation because of that, of those little jobs that I did here and there, of mending a hole or a sock or this or that. And then there were bigger jobs where I had to pull out the sewing machine and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, it does add up. And in the end, it's a whole big thing. And I have to say, it makes me feel better. It gives me motivation going forward to keep working on that pile, because I'm sometimes tempted to just throw it away. But to just keep going through these things, I think it makes sense. And this is my way of motivating myself throughout. So, and that's that for the year that is past. That's that in terms of my numbers and my stats and everything. So, and what I've learned from this last year, I've learned that making all of those socks is okay, that my favorite pieces are garments. So it's maybe not the question whether I need to make more garments, but it's if I manage to produce garments that I really love, that's what counts. And yeah, I kept motivating myself throughout my mending year, and that's also good. It felt good. As for plans, I want to, again, I mean, I contradict myself, but I'm large, I contain multitudes. I want to make more sweaters. That's always my goal. Not only in terms of I see myself as a garment maker, therefore I make garments, sort of. Sometimes it's just a self-image sort of thing, right, that we have going on. But it's also, and more so, more importantly, garment patterns inspire me so much. And I feel like I want to make this sweater and this and this and that top. And then my mother-in-law gave me two or maybe even three, but like say a handful of sweaters or summer tops quantities, and also qualities like linen yarns or whatever. And I felt like, oh, I want to make this top again, and with that I want to make the Sabai top, and then blah blah blah. And so it just speaks to me, and I have this cue in my head of like all of those garments that I want to make. Also for my kids, then there's that. So they request things, I have ideas, I have plans for them. Things that they want, things that they need, things that I want to surprise them with. Then things I've been wanting to make for myself in terms of garments for a longer time, and then things that pop up, like now everybody's wearing or knitting that sheep sweater, this black and white sheep sweater. I don't now know the name or designer, but I think it's just called the sheep sweater. I don't know. But maybe this black and white thing, that is just very popular right now. I desperately want to make that, even though my plan was to knit some of my sweaters quantities from Stash. For this one, I would have to buy yarn. So, which is why I'm not doing that now, but it's constantly on my mind. Not the buying, but not the yarn buying, but the pattern, I want to make that one, and I have so many. I've talked about it in the past often enough on here, but I have so many Taylor Swift inspired patterns in my mind that I make up. I think that all of them are just genius. But yeah, I've just seen a reel, or not, was it a reel or just like a post on Instagram where someone, I don't even remember who, but I took a screenshot, posted a vintage find of like a sweater with just individual letters all over it. And they were the bridge, just the first letters of each word of the bridge of the smallest man who ever lived. So were you sent by someone, right? Um, and I thought that is perfect. And I thought, how can I recreate that? And I keep thinking, like, I have every day I think about that. I have to knit a dark blue sweater and then have either an intarsia, which would be a pain though, or and stranded color work but back and forth, or double stitch it, but I don't love the look of that. I don't know, but maybe that would be a better option. But have that the bridge on there. It's so long, and it would just look fantastic because it covers your entire front. I've seen that sweater and that vintage sweater, so it cannot be very vintage because the song isn't very old, but someone found it in a thrift store, and I thought, I have to make that. Why I can make that. It keeps going through my mind. So I have so many. I still want to make the Knit It in Your Cardigan, which is a misunderstanding of one of her lyrics. So if you've been here a long time, you will know. It's from Betty, and so on. So there are so many things. I want a sweater that says in intarsia really bold, and so like an oversized sweater. Like in the back, it's supposed to say, "I'll come back stronger than a '90s trend," and so I want that. There's so much. There's so much. I think I've also thought about making it the year of Taylor Swift for me, where I just don't knit anything but design all of those sweaters that I have in mind. But it's just not feasible because I really honestly hardly have time to focus in on all of those things related to math and planning and construction and so on and so forth. And it's just too much for me at this phase or just season of my life. But I want to make one of those sweaters this year. So right now it's the one with the smallest man who ever lived, but who knows? But that would also maybe be the one that is easiest to make. I don't know. We shall see. It remains to be seen, and I don't know, but I really want to make that. Then I want to knit, like I said, a few of my sweaters quantities, and one of these sweaters quantities would give me a beautiful jelly roll sweater. I will link jelly roll sweaters that I've knit in the past down below because I've knit many jelly roll sweaters. It's definitely the sweater pattern I've knit most of. And I'm currently, and I'll show you quickly, knitting one for my oldest son who is 10 and a half. And so it's scrunched up on a small needle like all of my projects are. So I can't really show you the yoke to like any satisfaction, but I can show you a little bit, making sure not to drop all of my stitches. So that's what it looks like. That is the yoke. I'm going to hold it up close. But it's rolling up. We have to live with it. Okay. So that is the yoke. I'm going to show you the back so you can see it with the green, which is going to be the color of the rest of the sweater. The yoke is this gold and red. So there, because it's scraps, the red are scraps. It's 2 shades of red that he picked himself. He wanted that combination. And the gold is, I'm going to talk about the yarn in a second, is Holst Super Soft. And then the green is going to be the main color, which is also Holst Super Soft. And I'm knitting this on 2.5 millimeter needles. So I don't even know what that is. US size 1, I think. And look at how, it's going to plump up with washing, I think, and even out, but it's not very dense fabric, I don't know. I've become such a loose knitter that it makes me a little desperate at times, but that's a different story for another day. So the yarn is Holstgarn Super Soft, and this color, the green color, is Clover Leaf. And Yeah, it's very fine yarn. So this is 500 grams and it amounts to 287 meters. So it's definitely lighter than fingering weight. So that would be 314 yards to 50 grams. So that's crazy. But it is supposed to be knit at a relatively open gauge, apparently. That's what the band says. The yellow is super soft, what is it called? Brass. And then the red is just leftovers, mystery leftovers. But so that would be the Jelly Roll sweater. I have one of these. My kids have a handful of those in rotation, but none of them fit my oldest son anymore. And because obviously he hands his ones then down to the others. So he needs a new one. He has requested a new one. And since he's a redhead, the green and gold really work for him. And he wanted those colors. He said, yeah, that's exactly what I want. So I cast it on, and I feel a little bad because I cast the sweater on in, I don't know, maybe November, at the beginning of November or something like that. And it's only at this stage now. But because I don't know, knitting a yoke can sometimes be something that holds me up because then you have to make little decisions and then try on and do this and that, and it doesn't seem like much, but there were a handful of moments where I needed to decide little things, and just, I don't know, it was just too much for me with Christmas and all. But I made sure to eventually just knit on it every week and just have that little bit of progress to show him I'm taking this seriously. You will get your sweater. And I know once I've split for the sleeves, and then everything is clear, because then I know I will have determined how deep the yoke is going to be, the arm circumference, everything is going to be clear, and you just need to knit and get there. So then it's going to be fast. I really want to get there, and I'm almost there. So I've done the short rows, which are under the colorwork section, and now he has to try it on so I can see if we're already there, which I think we are, but I'm going to make it a little bit deeper just because he's going to grow a lot and soon. But I want to make it so that he can wear it for 2 years at least. So, and yeah, I'm making a size extra small just because he is still a kid, but yeah, I think I'm on gauge though. Yeah, I got gauge with a 2.5 millimeter needle. Yeah, and that's the Jelly Roll sweater. I want to make one for myself. That's why I told you this. But I thought it might be fun to just also show you a project that I'm currently working on. And so yeah, these are my sweater plans, to knit up some of my quantities and just generally some of my stash, because I have a yarn cupboard upstairs and that is full. Just like as in full. It's totally full. And that is not an obscene amount of yarn, but it's enough to keep me busy, and it's yarn that I really enjoy. And I don't have to knit on everything all at once. That's not going to happen. And it cannot work. But I want to knit on these things, and I just want to make sure that I don't only run after the new sheep sweaters out there and buy yarn for those, and then end up having unfinished objects strewn across the house, but also pick from the beautiful yarns that I've bought in the past and knit with those. I'm usually quite good at that. But still, it's a constant process of just fine-tuning your focus. I want to finish some garlands that I've started, which sounds a little weird, but I have a tendency to start little ornaments and think I'm going to make so many of them, and then I'll never get back to that. But I have knit a whole lot of Christmas trees in various sizes in 2024, so a good year ago, and I wanted to make garlands, Christmas garlands, and I never did. And I think if I sat down for 1 or 2 weeks and just finished those off and just knit a few more extra trees here and there, I would have a handful of Christmas garlands, and that might be very worthwhile. So I want to make more colorwork socks, just like the occasional colorwork cuff would be fun because I have the Charlotte Stone books, and that would just be so fun. I have, as of yet, I have only knit the chicken socks from her first book, and well, you can say I've knit one sock and the other needs to be ripped back because I switched out the needles, and I don't like the bigger needle. So I'm going to re-knit the colorwork section, which is at the beginning of the sock, with my initial needle size. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And next I want to knit her coffee socks, which I don't drink coffee, but with the cup and the hot air sort of circling upwards. I don't know how to phrase that, but you know what I mean. And my last thing on my list is I want to spin with the wool that I still have. So I have two, oh my God, what is it called? Braids, I think, in my yarn cupboard that I bought from Frau Wölfchen, who also, again, is a German dyer. And she has these beautiful braids for spinning. And I bought two that have just these beautiful jewel tones. It's very green and blue toned, more green, I think. So those are just spectacular when you look at them like that. I hope they're going to be fun and nice to look at when I have spun them up, but I really want to do that. I also still have wool that I have washed and card, as I spin them, I card a little bit and then I spin it and I card the next bit and I spin that, from a friend of my father's. So from Germany, like German sheep. I don't know the breed, but it's a darker gray wool. And I've just finished spinning another skein, which now I totally forgot how much that was. It's not fingering weight, but it's not quite DK, so it might be 300 meters to 100 grams, something like that, or maybe a little less. I don't know. I am still pretty much a rookie with my spinning, and I just try things out as I go and learn as I go. But it's a lot of fun to just produce yarn that you can work with. It's just crazy. And I had that opportunity to spin with that yarn from that friend of my father's. So I did, and I still have some of that left. I might get a sweater quantity out of this, I think. But that also means that I have to be a busy bee and just do it. And well, that could be the hard part. But then I have the Frau Wölfchen braids upstairs that I desperately want to spin now, because I think I might finish this one spin, just the stuff that's still on the wheel, and then start with these beautiful braids, because I really want to work on those. And then, since we now have our own sheep, ! It's only 3. But what? Not only we're not shepherds, but we have 3 sheep, and they're amazing. They're 3 really just gorgeous ladies, and they have it's called a golden fleece. So they have this, you could say beige, light beige fleece, and they're going to be shorn, when it gets warmer. And then I'm going to have a whole lot of beautiful yarn. Not yarn, but wool. And I want to make yarn out of it, obviously. And I cannot wait. So every time I cuddle with them and I touch them and I talk to them, I tell them how I'm so longing, I'm still so waiting for that moment when they get to be shorn and I get to take all this all these fleeces and wash them and card them and spin them, and how it's going to be so pretty. And then we can be in partner look, because I'm going to wear the sweater and they're just going to have regrown all their wool, and it's just going to be so darling. So that's why I keep telling them. I'm really looking forward to that, because it's just very exciting. It's beautiful wool. It's very good for spinning, the wool that they have, which was a criterion when we chose them. And I'm beyond excited. But that also means that I want to have my other wool in the house pretty much spun by that time. I don't know if that's realistic, but I want to try and achieve that, which kind of means that I have to get to work now. But well, yeah, so that's that for my plans, and for the year ahead and my reflections on the year that is just past. I hope it's been a good year for you. I mean, the world is in shambles, but I hope it's been a good knitting year for you, if nothing else. And I mean, thank goodness for knitting, right? Thank goodness for knitting. I've said it before, but like, what do people do that don't knit or crochet or embroider or sew or whatever? But what do people do that don't do that? How do they cope with everything, with the world, with also like everything that's going on at home, everything you have to do, all the things, all the meetings, all the stuff, all the this and all that, and then everything else that's going on in the world? Like, how do people cope? I don't understand. It's hard enough as it is when you do knit and embroider and sew and all the things, So anyway, thank you so much for checking out my podcast or coming back. If you've enjoyed it, if you feel free to like and subscribe below, give it a thumbs up, or just post a picture on Instagram. Let your friends know, hi, there's a fun podcast out there. I do want to be back sooner rather than later. That's always my plan, but I really want to make this a priority this year and not just always pencil it in and then never get to podcasting, because it doesn't feel good. It's no fun at all. And also it doesn't lead to a lot of interaction with you guys if I post out just once a quarter or something like that. So I hope to be back here soon. I hope you've had a good start to the year and you can find joy in your knitting projects or whatever making projects you have going on. And I hope I'll talk to you soon. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.